Alright, so we're up at, we set our alarm for 5 this morning. Actually it was 5:15. But we've actually woken up every hour pretty much throughout the evening, every time a car would drive by. We didn't want to wake up, but we would wake up. The reason we set our alarm is so that we can get this guy on film honking at the cars and maybe get to ask him a couple questions as to why he or she or they, why they are doing this.
There he is.
I'd like to know why it is you drive by and honk at everybody that's parked down at the park in the morning.
Because they're camping there.
So, because people are sleeping, you decide to go wake them up.
It's a residential neighborhood. I'm sure there are more neighbors other than me that don't really like having people.
Met the people that are down there?
No,
You haven't taken the time?
they're there for 2 or 3 days and then they're gone.
So why do you take the time to honk at them then?
Just my thing, man.
It's abusive. If I were to walk by you on the street and scream in your face, you would call that assault. But you do this, it's abuse.
Okay, I get your point.
I mean, my children are asleep in there. We're here visiting from out of town. We're traveling through.
Then go rent a place in one of the campgrounds.
Why?
Because
Because why?
I'm pretty certain there's a city ordinance about camping.
I'm pretty certain there's a law about harassment.
Hey, get out of here.
I don't think so. I'll wait. You can either do this interview with me or I can call the police.
Go ahead.
You want the whole town to know? Because I've got you on film. My wife has you on film from a different camera at each vehicle multiple times. I could put your picture up at the co-op and let everybody know what you do every morning.
Okay. I can assure you that I'm not out to harm anybody.
It feels pretty scary.
Okay.
Because somebody drove by one morning and broke this mirror on my car and this mirror a different morning.
I would never vandalize anything.
How am I to know who it
I
is?
get it. I get what you're saying.
It's frightening when your children get woken up and they're scared because somebody is honking at them. They don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. All people are doing are sleeping, man.
There are appropriate places to go sleep.
You work at a school, and this is what you do to children who sleep in vehicles. You know, we're traveling. We're not harming anybody. We come to this town and we make music on the street. People really enjoy our presence. We're very peace-loving, very kind people. You know?
I can understand that.
And it's very disheartening to have somebody want to drive by.
At the same time, there are places for you to go camp, and not at a city park.
Okay, are we harming
in a
anyone?
residential area.
Are we harming anyone parking?
In a residential area.
We're not parked in front of anybody's home. We are parked on the side of the street that's on the park. We've talked to every neighbor on our street. They're all very intrigued by our bus. They're very kind folks. They say that there's no problem. We're not drinkers. We're not partying out there.
Okay.
You know, there's a family in front of us from Texas with a 4-year-old little girl who are traveling to teach their little girl how it is to travel the world. And you wake them up every morning when you drive by their vehicle. There's another family in front of us who just got to town in an RV. It's an elderly couple. He's a veteran, and they're traveling. Not everybody can afford to pay $30 a night to stop at a campground. That's not something that everybody can afford to do. Number two, that's not how we live. we don't live going from campground to campground. You know, like we've never been harassed except for by you.
I get it.
I don't know how that must feel.
It makes me feel pretty shitty right now.
I'm not intending to make you feel shitty. I just want to have a human interaction with you. Just so you know that there's humans that are in those cars. I understand it's frustrating. I understand that sometimes people aren't respectful. But I don't see anybody being that way down there right now.
Maybe right now.
Of the people, so I don't see the point in in driving by in the morning and waking people up just because you're awake. You know, I was awake every night, every hour last night. Every time a car drove by, I shook awake because I thought, oh, that's them. He's gonna honk. It's him. Every hour last night.
Okay.
You know, that doesn't feel good. My children are like, well, they like parking there because their friends come down and they play during the day at the park. It's a good place for us to stretch out. They can run and play with our dog. We can make music. There's a restroom there. The co-op's right down the street where we go and purchase our food at the local community co-op where we spend our money.
I spend my money there too.
I bet you do. We're not so different.
Right.
At all. I put a lot of hard work and love into our home. Our family works together on that. There's no need for anybody to feel afraid to go to sleep at night wherever they are. Under any circumstances they're in.
I get it. I mean, I get what you're saying. It is frustrating, though. I mean, you can see my point. Frustrating.
But I can't see the point in taking time. You drive out of your way to go down and honk at people. I live in the alleyway, 2 alleyways up from it. Yeah, but you come down and you make a loop. You drive around a block just so you can make sure to honk at each person in a vehicle. I see you do that. Am I wrong?
Yesterday morning I did make that effort.
No, every morning. No. I see. No. Because I wasn't.
Pull out of the alleyway down on 8th Street, and then I come down A Street to get to my job.
No, you turn right onto A Street. You come up around the corner. You come back down 7th Street.
I did that yesterday.
I wasn't even there yesterday. I wasn't even there yesterday.
Today I pulled out 8th Street, left on A, and came right down.
Either way, man, I don't want to argue with you about your route, but
I get what you're saying, and I won't do it anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I apologize to your family because I love kids.
That's awesome.
Okay,
that's awesome.
And I understand.
Thank you for apologizing, and I just wanted to put a human interaction here. I didn't want you to be intimidated or scared. I didn't want you to feel. Okay, so that was the interaction this morning with the infamous honker. Just give you a little background. The guy comes by every day and he honks at everybody who lives in a vehicle that parks down on the public park. And as you can see, he felt as if it was his duty to do so, and he was vindicated. But with just a little bit of human interaction, an accountability process that's truly an accountability process, not just a calling out and ostracizing or punishing, but a discussion, an open discussion with one another. I think we came to a really good resolution. In fact, it nearly brings me to tears to think about the turnaround that I saw occur in this person and in myself. I felt a real release of the anger that I had just through the conversation, and with his apology, it really dropped away. I wanted to address a couple of points in the video. At one point I said, you can either give me an interview or we can talk to the police if you'd like. I have no intention of calling the police. I used that phraseology, that wording, because it's an indoctrinated bit of wording in our culture. It's built into us to do that. I wanted to put into him a fear of accountability that doesn't quite exist amongst person to person until we had an opportunity to speak. I'm fortunate that he gave me the opportunity for us to have the conversation and not just walk away from it, because the truth is I couldn't call the police. Our family lives illegally, as do the other families along that park. We don't have the same recourse for harassment that title holders have, that settled people have. Honestly, it oftentimes is more damaging for us to have police interactions, even if we are the ones being perpetrated against in some kind of a harassment or crime. And that's true even more so for people who don't present as acceptable as we do. People who are maybe dirtier, or people who don't have a vehicle to live in but live on the street. And that's quite sad. But I think that this interaction this morning really opens up a lot of space, a lot of hearts can be opened by this conversation that we had. So thanks for watching. And I also want to say that if you're watching this and you live in the Ashland area, please don't use any kind of revenge against this person. I really hope that they aren't punished, because the truth of the matter is we live in a culture of punishment, and I don't think that it's necessary, and I don't think that very many people who are other settled people in this town have a whole lot of space to be pointing fingers at this gentleman any further. He did apologize. He said he wouldn't do it again. I believe him when he says that. I also believe that he really does feel the weight of his actions now, and I just hope that nobody takes it upon themselves to cause any harm to this gentleman. I hope he doesn't lose his job, but a little bit of public accountability is okay. If you want to have a conversation with your neighbors about people that sleep in vehicles on your street, if you want to have a conversation with people who sleep in vehicles on your street, I highly encourage the conversations to take place, because it can create really beautiful things like it did today. So what you may have missed is later in the video, I offer to have tea in our bus. He says he may walk around the neighborhood this evening, and if he sees us, he'll say hello. And I said, well, if you do, come in for a cup of tea. And he said that would be lovely. So we'll see if we have tea together. And even if we don't, it's okay. But yeah, make a cup of tea. Sit down with somebody. Have a human interaction. All right, thanks.